How many of you enjoy eating bacon? I'd assume almost everyone. What if I told you a swine disease killed off every pig in the world and now we can't have any type of meat from pigs? That is what I'm here to inform you about, African swine fever and what we can all do to prevent it. African swine fever is a global issue. If we want to continue enjoying bacon, we have to take this topic seriously. I have been involved in agriculture my whole life, rather that be from showing pigs at the county fair or helping my family with wheat harvest in the summer. I am invested in the future of production agriculture. That is why I believe African swine fever is a current issue America needs to be informed about. African swine fever is a disease with high mortality rates. This disease is potentially very dangerous to the United States economy if it enters our country, which is highly likely since it is quickly spreading all over Eastern Europe. In this presentation, we are going to learn about the symptoms, causes, and treatments of African swine fever. First, we should start off with identifying what is African swine fever. African swine fever is caused by a large double-stranded DNA virus. It is an infectious disease that has made its spread all throughout Europe, with it severely impacting swine producers and their economy. It can spread through direct or indirect contact, which is a major reason the disease spreads like wildfire. With around 65 million swine in the United States, the fever is an issue to all swine producers. The growing concern of African swine fever is that the mortality rates are reaching almost 100% of pigs with the disease. Not only does this fever affect swine facilities, it also hurts the United States economy. According to the Royal Society Publishing, after a swine producer loses most of their livestock to this disease, they lack the resources to continue their swine production. This would put thousands of swine farms out of business and no form of income. Now we can learn about the symptoms of African swine fever. To control an outbreak of African swine fever in the United States, swine producers need to be able to identify the symptom of this disease. It is important that livestock farmers recognize the clinical signs of the disease right away before it is too late. The United States Department of Agriculture, USDA, has stated that the symptoms of African swine fever that producers need to be aware of: high fever, decreased appetite and weakness, red, blotchy skin or skin lesions, diarrhea and vomiting, and coughing and difficulty breathing. If these clinical signs appear, then the USDA should be alerted immediately to prevent further outbreak. It should be noted that some pigs can be asymptomatic, so it could spread without anyone ever knowing. Swine are kept in small facilities, so the fever can spread like wildfire if one pig is infected. Next, we will learn about the causes of African swine fever. African swine fever can be transmitted through direct or indirect contact, which is what makes this fever so threatening to the United States pork production and our economy. Pigs use their nose for several different reasons, like smelling or rooting holes for themselves. Since a major method of transmission is through the nasal route, it is important to watch for signs of symptoms. Another important form of transmission is through ticks. A tick feeds on one pig and transfers the disease to another pig. The transmission of this fever is a constant issue because of how easy it spreads through millions of swine. Although African swine fever has not been found in the United States currently, we still need to be aware of all the risk associated with this disease. One of the estimated forms the fever can be introduced into our country is foreign travel, with the smuggling of infected pork and luggage. Another form of transmission could be from the trade of contaminated pig meat between foreign countries. Strict guidelines should be set to keep African swine fever away from American swine. With the recent spread of African swine fever in Europe and Asia, it is concerning swine producers because of the costly effects it possesses. Lastly, we will identify what advancements have been made to treat African swine fever. Currently, there are no available vaccines to help stop the outbreak of African swine fever. Without a vaccination, it is critical that extraordinary measures are taken to keep the disease out of America. In an effort to control the disease, officials euthanized more than 1.17 million pigs across the country. A major form of trying to manage an outbreak is the depopulation of all swine believed to come into contact with other infected pigs. With large amounts of swine being euthanized, it will hurt swine producers financially and economically. However, one of the best ways to keep an outbreak from African swine fever from happening is having swine producers take extra security measures when it comes to visitors and traveling. The fever is spread through contaminated materials or pigs, so eliminating the contact between swine and outside visitors is the best option a producer can make. Another precaution farmers can take is developing the practice of keeping the facility sanitary. By cleaning surfaces once or twice a day, it could make or break a production facility. That is why it is important to keep African swine fever out of the United States. To conclude, African swine fever is a global issue that America needs to be prepared for. It is important that all swine producers know the symptoms of African swine fever so they can identify it quickly and inform the United States Department of Agriculture. If you want to find more about this information on this topic, talk to me afterwards and I can share some different ways to receive more details on African swine fever. There is no sure way we can make sure this virus doesn't enter the United States, but there are ways to prevent it from spreading farther. Swine operators can create guidelines for who visits facilities and limiting contact between other swine producers to avoid the risk of spreading the virus to their farms. By eliminating the spread of African swine fever, we can continue enjoying one of my favorite foods, bacon.